Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. For Christmas this year I asked my godmother to give me a knitting machine, so today I'm going to try it. I don't have much experience with knitting machines, just one attempt with a cheap child's toy version about 20 years ago. But other than that, most of my knitting has been pretty manual. So it's going to be interesting to try this out today, to find out what's different about it and just the general experience, yeah? So I think I'm going to open it up, see what's inside, and I'm going to attempt to make something pretty simple. Let's open this up. There you go. Oh, there is some yarn attached as it just explodes everywhere. Oh, that's interesting. That's a set of circular knitting needles. They look like they're a size 6. Just eye gauging it, you know. And the only thing left in the box is the instruction booklet. Which looks like it's in Chinese. Oh good, there's English in here. Okay. Or it could be Japanese. One of the two. Alright. Let's look here. Alright. So we have our little thing here. There's the yarn that... Oh good. The yarn I was thinking about using is slightly thicker than this yarn. There's some skeins of the yarn in it. Looks like there's some assembly acquired. Includes machine pillar, section cups, screw, and screwdriver. It comes with the tools. Nice. Now I am amazing at IKEA crafts. Or assembling things in general, so I can tell this is the top. Pretty fun, yeah? Okay. And then we have our different parts, like right here. I mean, the section cup would work if I was putting it against an actual table, but the thing is, to protect my craft table, I actually tape paper on top of it. So, section cups wouldn't really work on that right now. Wow. Look at that needle. Oh my gosh. You see that? I'm thinking pink might not have been the right color to wear today. Because this is like blending in with my shirt. But that's huge. Okay. That's huge. It's longer than the screwdriver. Oh no, sorry. It is as long as the screwdriver. That is a crochet hook. Oh, 3.75. That's probably the same as this guy, yeah? Yeah. Same size hook as one of my favorite crochet hooks of all time. Okay. So this is like the yarn thing, and let's see. Place suction cups into the notch. We got some screws. Okay. You know, I wasn't expecting to turn this into an IKEA video, but I guess that's what we're going to have today. Keep all the little pieces of the screws safe. There we go. So it kind of just wants me to slide them all into that. Is there a particular direction? Nope, just slide them in. In, little bugger. Okay, come on. That's why they're telling you to do this first before it goes on the machine. Got it in. Got it in. And I gotta do that 4 more times. Okay. I'm actually just going to skip ahead to the next step. And then I'll do the rest of that off camera. So that way more of the video is entertaining. Yeah. But now it kind of wants me to just slide this bad boy in. And then screw it. But I don't see how the screw is going to fit. I see how it's going to fit better now. Okay. Ah, all right. So you see it's having me put it in like that. Well, if we just put the screwdriver in first, it's magnetic. So helpful when it's magnetic, yeah. Then it's our righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There we go. And our knitting machine has its first leg. So I'm going to go ahead and just put the rest of the legs on. And then I'll move on to the next step. I attached all the legs on my machine now. And I also attached the little yarn tension thingy. And I can see this is like panel in the tube. And then this here is the crank handle for the hooks. And oh, yeah, I see that. There's like a black hook with all the different white hooks. Oh, and they're all numbered. The black hook is number 1. So I guess that's where I'm supposed to start. So here with the instructions. Practice before starting to knit. Oh, and well, first it has degree of thread tightness. So it has loose, moderate, and tight. So loose means it goes through one of the holes here. Moderate is it goes through 2 of the holes. And tight means it goes through 3 of the holes. You know, this would actually be an amazing opportunity for a knit ball, like a yarn ball. It says practice, turn the handle clockwise for a while. Okay. Ah. So it does go both ways, but it just wants you to go around like the hands of a clock. Okay. Then you can start to thread onto the unit. So to knit, I've already switched it up. Lower the thread into the cylinder. Should I have wound this into a ball ahead of time? Probably. Am I going to take the time to wind it into a ball now? You know what? Actually, yeah. I'll be back. Okay, I'm fine. It's in the ball now. So I think it'll be a little bit easier to manage. So as I'm looking at these instructions now, it says turn the handle forward, the central needle right before you will go up, which strikes me as a sentence that was translated into English because no English that is not an English sentence. And then set the thread to the inner space of the hook of needle 1 to the right of the thread inlet as the figure shows. Then set the thread in a skipping way, that is set to 1 needle and then skip the next one. Okay. So if I'm looking at this correctly, like, the words are not very clear, but the pictures kind of are. So if you can kind of see here, it wants me to wrap it around every other one, starting with 1. So I guess I kind of pull it here, but then I go back and forth, so it's every other one. Ooh! Wait a moment. Part of it here is making sure that it catches onto the loop. Yeah, it wants me to do like every other one. Feels like I'm messing up by not doing every one, but I understand casting on is different than regular knitting. Oof. Okay, we're gonna trust you here. We're gonna trust it here. Alright. And then because it's an even amount of pegs, it says go back around for second row. But opposite, which means I feel like I made a mistake somewhere. Yeah. In the above mentioned way, not a phrase that a native English speaker would be using in the above mentioned way. Although, again, it's probably not written by a native English speaker. Alternatively, guide the thread past the hook's inner space in the back of the needles till the thread circles the cylinder once. If I'm understanding this correctly, it wants me to go back the other way. And basically get the ones I didn't get before. I hope that's what that is. We will find out. So. And again, it feels like my hand's in the way, which is probably why, because it has the tensioner thing, but I'm going to thread the tensioner thing in once it wants me to start knitting like normal. Aha! There we go. So now I'm going to thread this in. Is there some sort of marker on this, or am I going to have to keep track of the rows manually? I'm going to have to keep track of the rows manually. Fun! Okay. After correctly setting the thread onto the unit, remember to loosen the thread on the front inlet. After 4 or 5 circles, remember to pull the thread end in the cylinder tight before going on. And it tells me how to change a different color. Okay. Cool. I think this is the start of it now. So I apparently have to keep track of it myself, which actually, you know what? I bought this not without realizing it was going to be matching this almost perfectly. Pretty cool. So 6. I have to remember that for a different project. Which, ironically, I bought these stitch counters so that way I could have multiple different stitch counters around, but all right. At this point, I'm going to attempt to make this project that I found on a YouTube video. Was it a pattern video? No. Did I learn the pattern from it? I figured it out. I'm going to link that video down below. Thank you, Alt Knots. I'm going to try to make a beanie. I think that would be like a good first project. And like if it's a green yarn, so it'll probably still be one that goes with a lot of the clothing that I own. Anyway, I'm going to continue working on this in such a way that hopefully works. I finished the beanie, which I have no idea if it's going to fit or not. I have yet to try it on. So I'm going to try it on in a moment. But first, I want to talk about the process of using this. Using the Sentro. So I think, like, mentally I have it in my mind that when I'm using a machine, I'm supposed to be doing less work, or it's like it's supposed to be easier, less of an effort, because machines are in our life to make our lives easier. And I kind of found the opposite happening for me. Like, I guess the connecting thought that I haven't mentioned yet is, by making our lives easier, it allows me to free up mind space to do something else. Yeah. So I can, like, be focused on something else while working on the activity. But what the Sentro was forcing me to do was, it was forcing me to be present with every stitch way more than I typically do when I'm manually knitting. Because what I was finding was it was very easy for the yarn to not hook the way it was supposed to. I had to go relatively slow. You may notice midway through I switched yarns. I decided to go to a thinner yarn because I was wondering if part of my problem was the fact that I was using a yarn that the machine considered too thick. And like part of it was like the yarn was there, but then sometimes like it would click, it wouldn't click. And like I would have to rearrange it so that way, like I would have to try to catch the stitch before it got too far. So even though like the stitch was happening right here, I found my eyes kind of focusing on this part right here to make sure that the stitches got caught. And if they didn't get caught, well, I ended up switching to a crochet hook that was smaller than the crochet hook that they provided me. So that way I could catch the loops and make sure they got through. There were some mistakes I made in here that, yeah, I turned this inside out. I ended up gathering it and like sewing it together. This part right here is a little bit more awkward, which is why it's inside. But there are like some stitches like here. If you can sense here, like that's a bit weird, but that's not the really odd one. Here is the really odd one. If I was knitting in person, I would never make that mistake. Like if I was knitting in person, that would either be an intentional feature that you'd see more than once, or that wouldn't even be there. But I have to keep on reminding myself, this was the very first time I used my machine. And the majority of the things in my life, I don't get on the first try. Including knitting. I did not get knitting on the first try. So I'm actually going to try on this beanie to see if it fits. So I'm going to take off that beanie and put on this one. Oh, that's a tight one. Let's see. You know what? That's actually a pretty snug fit. I kind of like when my beanies are a little bit more snug. I mean, I don't like it when the hats are too tight. This is a pretty tight hat. Not bad. Also, I just want to point out that on the box, like for casting on, I did end up having to like look at a video, but like on the box, it says create all kinds of practical items, and it goes with hat, scarf, knitted hat. While I appreciate the mastery that it would be required for this type of hat, these are both knitted hats because this is a knitted machine. There's no difference between hat and knitted hat when you're making them on the knitted machine. I mean, come on. It's like they were looking for a word, but they did not find it. I did find the instructions relatively difficult to understand. At some point, I will have to attempt the panel. That will be an interesting experiment when I try the panel. But as for a first project that came off of this machine, I'm very happy with this. And it'll be interesting to keep on exploring that in the future. So anyway, that was today's entertainment. Have a nice day.